What's going on, second grade? Mr. Hunter here with your second grade math lesson for today. We're going to jump right in. You're going to be on page 251, 252. We're starting a new theme, and a new theme means that some of the story problems you may hear in the worksheets that we're doing over the next few days, few weeks, they're going to be having national parks in them. They're going to be showing pictures of the woods and different pictures of places that have, like the Acadia National Park, the Harbor Head Lighthouse, different places like that you're going to see all throughout your worksheet. So I may be throwing some videos in there for you guys to take a look at, all right? As we move forward, we're going to jump in today starting on page 251, and we're going to start with identifying thirds, fourths, halves, all of that as we move forward into the next few days, okay? Even more work with multiplication, missing numbers, bar graphs, and story problems. We like story problems. Okay, so let's look at number one. Number one says mark the bubble under the correct fraction. So first thing we have to do is we have to look at the picture. So the first thing, we see a circle there. It's like a pizza pie, but it's because it's cut in halves. But then it's cut two more times, so it's cut into a fourth. So how many different squares do we see? How many different parts do we see? We see four. So right automatically, we have to look for a four in the answer. Okay, so look down. There's one that says 2 over 3, which is 2/3, and then 2 over 4. So we look at the 4. That one jumps out, so that may be right. But then we have to look over here. How many are colored? Well, there's 4 areas that are colored or shaded in. So that means it's 2 out of 4. So what do? We bubble in the 2 out of 4. And that is actually, 2 out of 4 could actually be 1/2 as well. But 2/4 is what we're looking for. All right, the next one. There is a square, and there's one triangle covered in. So how many spaces do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 and we have 1. So is it 1 out of 3 or 1 out of 4? It's getting you started pretty easy on this problem here, but you guys should understand. I want you to do the next two by yourself and see if you guys can truly comprehend and get that. You should be moving forward. All right, number two for Ada, Solomon, Ruby, Mackenzie, Naomi, and Michael. It says color 1/3 of each group. So, wow, we have 9 honeybees. 9 honeybees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if we have 9, let's say we have 9 squares, okay? 9 squares. All right, 9 squares, almost there, almost there. And we need 1/3. So a third. So there's 9. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We need 1/3. So we have to make 3 groups to get 9. How can we make 3 groups? So we count 3, 6, 9. Wait, guys, if we break it up by threes, would that be one group? So let's see. Let's just circle 1. Let's circle this group right here. Okay. So how many groups of 3 did I circle? I circled 1. I circled 1. How many total groups are there? There's 3. What would that be? 1/3. Now, we want to make sure that our groups are even. So if there's 9, we need to make sure it still adds 9. If I have one group of 3, that's 3. If I circle another group, that's 6. That circles 9. So that's even. All the groups would have the same amount of number. Look at it this way. There's 3, right? And then how many other groups are there? It's 1, 2, 3. So there's 3 in a group, and there's 3 total. So 3 in a group, and 3 total. 3 times 3, what would that give us? 9. Because there's 3 nines. There's 3, 1, 2. There's 3 threes and 9. 3 times 3 equals 9. So there's one group of 3, and there's 3 groups. So this is one group, 1, 2, 3. So that's another way to break it down. Pretty cool there. You guys are going to do the next one. You're going to circle, or color, I should say. I keep saying circle. You're going to color 1/3. So first you have to color how many mosquitoes there are, or you have to count how many mosquitoes there are. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you need to break it down evenly. They want to see 1/3. So if you break it down, how many is 6? I'm not going to tell you. If I keep talking, I'm going to tell you. You got to figure it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They want 1/3. So that means you need 3 groups that are even, and you have to circle one of them, all right, or color one of them. So color only one of 3 groups. So how many are you going to color? If there's 6, you can only color 1/3. And then the last one, there are black flies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Wow, there's 12, and they want 1/3. So how many are you coloring? You guys want to see? I want to find out. I'm going to ask you guys tomorrow to see how you did with this. We did pretty well in our video in our Zoom class yesterday, but I want to see about this problem in particular. I want to tell you more, but I want to give you a chance to try it on your own before I confuse you or skip steps to think you know more than you actually do. All right, you guys may surprise me. You may already know it, but I want you to try it, and we'll go from there, okay? All right, let's look at number 3. This is what we call a story problem. All right, April and her family took a bike ride on a trail in Acadia. They rode for 2 hours. Okay, so 2 hours. 2 hours. Let's underline that. Let's underline that. They rode for 2 hours, and they finished at 4:15 p.m. What time did they start? Ooh. So look, I gotta change something, guys, because this is a good one. This is a good one. All right. So we're dealing with time. We're dealing with time. So who was it? April and her family. They rode for 2 hours. They rode for 2 hours. So you can see that. You can underline that. But they finished at 4:15 p.m. Okay. So guys, the question is, what time did they start? So you know what we need to do? We need to take 4, right? 4:15, and we need to minus 2. All right, that's all we need to do. We need to minus 2. So they rode for 2 hours. So when you're writing 2 hours, you know what you do? You have to put the clock. So they rode for 2 hours. They didn't say 2 hours and 10 minutes, 2 hours and 20 minutes, 2 hours and 15 minutes. They said they rode for 2 hours. So that's a 2. Then you put the dots there, and you put 0, 0, because they didn't say any other time. So what's 5 minus 0? That's 5. What's 1 minus 0? That's 1. And then we put our dots there for the clock. And then what's 4 minus 2? That's going to be 2. So when did they leave? They rode for 2 hours. When did they leave? That looks like that's not 215. That's 2:15. They left at 2:15. But here's the trick. They arrived at 4:15 p.m. So what do we need to do to ours? We need to add p.m. because that's going to make it an actual time for the clock. So that's what you're going to do there on number 3. All right. Let's look at number 4. All right. Number 4, it says Bass Harbor Head Lighthouse. Wow, that's a lot of names. Bass Harbor Head Lighthouse was built in 1858. It was the first lighthouse on Baker Island. The first lighthouse on Baker Island was built in 1828. How many years earlier was Baker Island Lighthouse built than Bass Harbor Head Lighthouse? Wow, those are a lot of words, guys. So I'm going to read that one more time, and I want you to listen very closely. Bass Harbor Head Lighthouse was built in 1858. Okay, so we have the first one, 1858. All right. And then it says the first lighthouse on Baker Island was built in 1828. Okay, so we have 1828. All right. How many years earlier was Baker Island Lighthouse built than Bass Harbor Head Lighthouse? Oh, guys, I think what we have to do is we have to subtract to find the difference in the years. So that's what we have to do. And looks like it's already set up for us. So what we need to do is just draw a line under that. You're going to subtract 1858, 1828. Now, if this was an actual number, we put a comma there for the thousands and all of that. But this is just a year, so we're not having to put a thousands or anything. No thousands. We're just putting this. So what's 8 minus 8? 0. What's 5 minus 2? That's a 3. What's 8 minus 8? 0. Do we need to put it? No. What's 1 minus 1? 0. Do we need to put it? No. So what is our answer? Our answer is going to be 30. And it's 30 years. There had been a difference 30 years earlier. All right? Look at the bottom. On number 5, it says finish the pattern. You have a 10. You have a 10 and a half. You have 11. You have 11 and a half. And then you're going to go to what? Look at the pattern that you have there. 10, 10 and a half. So it's a whole number. Then it's a whole number and a half number. Then it's a whole number. Then it's a whole and a half. And then you're going to add what? So it's just like counting by ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We did this last week. 1, 1 and a half. 2, 2 and a half. 3. So if you got a 10, 10 and a half, 11, 11 and a half, after 11 and a half, it's going to become, and then after you get that, it's going to become, I think you guys know this. I'm trying not to say the answer. So the best way for me to not to tell you the answer is to turn the page. All right, let's turn the page. All right. On number 1 on the back, it says write the differences. And I believe you guys know how to do that already. So I'm going to let you try it. Remember, when you're writing the differences, you have to subtract and borrow. And I'll actually do the first one with you just so we make sure that we know we're on the correct page. All right. I want you guys to do this. I know sometimes you guys say the lessons are boring or you don't really want to watch the video, but then when we get the test, if you get something wrong, you're not going to be happy about it. So I want you guys to really practice and really pay attention to the video so that we can make sure that we're learning and we're getting ourselves prepared for next year in third grade and moving on so we don't skip any steps, okay? So let's look at this. It says 50 minus 14. Okay, so first of all, we already know right off the bat, we cannot subtract 4 from 0. So what do we need to do? We need to borrow. So we take 1 from 5, and that's going to be a 4 now. And we put the 1 in front of the 0, and that's going to give us 10. So now we have 10 minus 4, which if you have your number line up, you can put it there, but that 10 minus 4 is going to give us a 6. All right, now we have 4 minus 1, which is going to give us what? 3. All right, and our final answer will be 36. So if you have any questions about how do I subtract 4 from 0? No, you have to borrow and you bring the 1 over it. You don't bring a 4 over, you bring the 1 over, and that becomes a 10. And then one other trick, you don't bring the 1 over and put it at the top, you put it right next to it. So instead of becoming a 1 plus 0, no, that's going to become a 10. The 0 becomes a 10 because you always borrow 1, you bring that over. Try the next 3 problems on your own. Should be good to go. We're going to speed up a little bit to get to the end here. Number 2, write the temperature at the campground. Circle the clothes April should wear. So pretty simple. Look at the thermometer. Look what the temperature is. And then look at the clothes and see which one matches the temperature. So if you're somewhere and you see the temperature was in the 20s and then you see a coat and a hat, should they put that on? Probably, because it's cold. So you just have to look closely. And then for number 3, what time did April's family eat breakfast? Look at the clock, identify it, make sure you write the number, and then you have to identify whether it's AM or PM. And what time do you eat breakfast? That's a little hint, that's a little giveaway. All right, number 4. The children made a graph. Everybody say graph. Children made a graph to see who took the most pictures on their camping trip. So you have to look at the bottom, all right? It says A, who took the most pictures? And what you want to do is look at the graph, okay? The graph, guys, I want you to look carefully. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares going across. But if you look at the bottom of the graph, what are we counting by? We're counting by 5. So when you see the graph, the graph is like this, okay? The graph is 1 square, 2 squares, 3 squares, 4 squares, 5 squares. But on the bottom, there's a 0, then there's a 5, then there's a 10, then there's a 15, then there's a 20. Make sure you're paying attention and don't just write, oh, how many did she count? 2, when it's actually 5. All right? Make sure you're doing that and paying close attention to that. And you're going to do all the questions on your own. So who took the most pictures? Let's look down. Who took the most pictures? Well, it looks like Amy had 3 squares bunked in. So that looks like she took what? 15. All right. How many did, let's look down. Look at Ben. He has 2 squares bumped in. That looks like he took 10. And then look at April. She has, whoa, she has 4 squares bumped in. But what does it stop at? What number is it? It's 20. So what you're going to write? Who took the most pictures? April. And how many did she take? Then you write the number down. You have to do B and C on your own, okay? I just did number 1 for you. I wanted to make sure you had the right skill set to do that. And last but not least, number 5. Acadia National Park is the 2nd busiest national park. How many national parks are busier than Acadia? So listen carefully. Acadia National Park is the 2nd busiest national park. How many national parks are busier than Acadia? It's a trick question, but I think you guys can get it. All right, I'll check your answers tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you guys so much.